UIAM, a special homecoming event. UIAM, a special homecoming event. UIAM, a special homecoming event. UIAM, a special homecoming event.
Keyakinan jadi ikutan, pendirian jiwa ihsan, nilai hormat keras diminda, daya cipta luar biasa, kesejahteraan masa depan. Ayo seluruh anak pertiwi, bangunkan Malaysia madani, sepenuh hati jiwa semangat, terus meyakini Malaysia madani. Ayo seluruh anak pertiwi, semarakkan Malaysia madani, sepenuh hati jiwa semangat, terus meyakini.
Everyone, please remain standing. Let us honor our beloved nation with a rendition of the national anthem, Negaraku, followed by the IIUM anthem, leading the way.
Let's lead the way, enlighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, we shall excel, we shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa, we will fulfill the Amanah. Together, we make the world a better place. Expand the culture of is to the meaning of Ramadan.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Honorable guests, we shall begin this special occasion by seeking blessings and guidance from the Almighty. I respectfully call upon Brother Durrani Shahmi Azafran bin Azha, second year ICOL students and president of iMasjid, for the recitation of Dua.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala mawala. Allahumma anta rabbuna la ilaha illa ant. Khalaqtana wa nahnu ibaduk wa nahnu عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء بذنوبنا إنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Almighty Allah, most gracious, most merciful, we beseech you in this auspicious occasion, on this sacred day of Jumu'ah, to grace the homecoming of our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. With your great blessing of tawfiq and guidance, health and strength, invisibility of spirit and thoughts, let his deeds and endeavors be crowned with success. Bring rahmah, mercy to the ummah and the world. Ya Allah yang maha berkuasa, Tuhan yang maha pemurah lagi maha kaya, kami mohon kepadamu agar engkau memberkati Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia, kepimpinannya, guru-guru, tenaga kerja dan para pelajar, dengan hikmah, kekuatan dan pertolonganmu, agar institusi ini menjadi cahaya yang menyuluh kegelapan, membawa kerahmatan kepada masyarakat dan dunia. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Aminuddin Syari, Selangor Menteri Besar. Yang Berhormat Datuk Tactical Specialist Mustafa Sabmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Malaysia. Honorable Tan Sri Samsudin Osman, President of IIUM. Honorable Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Osman Bakar, Rector of IIUM. Your Excellencies and all honorable guests, Professor Dr. Tracy Fitzsimmons, President of Shenandoah University. Alumni, academicians, staff, and students of IIUM and IIUM subsidiaries, both physically here and online, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. Welcome to the Meet Anwar at IIUM, a special homecoming, a historic moment as we celebrate the return of one of our most distinguished figures, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, to the halls of IIUM. This event is being broadcasted live in our campuses in Kuantan, Gambang, and Pagoh, and we extend our warmest greetings to all who are tuning in. Today is more than just a homecoming. It is a moment of inspiration, reflection, and unity for all of us here at IIUM and beyond. To begin our proceedings, it is my pleasure to invite the Honorable Rector of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Please welcome the Rector.
Yang amat berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang amat berhormat Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari, Selangor Menteri Besar. Yang berhormat Datuk Mustafa Sakmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education Malaysia. Honorable Tan Sri Samsudin Osman, President of IIUM, Your Excellencies and honorable guests, Dr. Tracy Fitzsimmons, President, Sinanduah University and delegation, alumni, academicians, staff, and students, those who are physically here, as well as those online in the different campuses, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the whole IIM community, students and staff, I welcome you. I welcome you with the greeting, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. I would like to warmly welcome the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, to our university campus in Gombak for this special event, which we proudly call Meet Anwar at IIUM, a special homecoming. I'm also glad to welcome our distinguished guests and representatives of our alumni, chapters and clubs. Thousands who are in this hall now, a good cross-section of the university's current 28,000 plus students and 5,000 plus staff. They are joining me with excitement to welcome Datuk Seri Anwar, the Prime Minister, for a dialogue on issues of great interest to the campus community, especially our students who come from so many Muslim majority and Muslim minority countries that make IIUM apt to be called the microcosm of the Muslim Ummah. Thank you very much, Datuk Seri Anwar, for sparing your precious time to visit the campus this morning. Our students and staff in Kuantan, Gambang, Pago, and Kuala Lumpur campuses are attending this event online. The program Meet Anwar at IIUM, hosted by IIUM today, is a very meaningful one for the university. And we are quite sure that it is very meaningful to Datuk Seri Anwar himself as well. His visit to the campus today may be described as a real homecoming. Datuk Seri Anwar has been associated with the foundation and development of the university in the first 15 years of its existence. That was from 1983 until 1998. He was president of IIUM for 10 years, 1988 until 1998. He has contributed so much to the progress of IIUM, especially during the period when he served in the cabinet as the Minister of Education, then later as the Minister of Finance, first time, now second time, as well as the Deputy Prime Minister. But Datuk Seri Anwar fought He fought for the idea of an Islamic university in Malaysia long before IIUM was established. When he was still a student and a youth leader. From 1999 onwards until now, however, life behind bars and years of oppositional politics have effectively cut off Datuk Seri Anwar's close and distinguished links with the university. After long absence from the university campus, at last, Datuk Seri Anwar returns. That is today, 11 April 2025, 12 Shawwal 1446. An official return, not a private one. Indeed, a sort of homecoming. How we all in university wish that Datuk Seri could have stayed with us today a few hours longer, so that at least Datuk Seri could personally see the wear and tear to which the built environment in the campus has been subjected over the years. But we understand Datuk Seri's numerous daily commitments. Well, we wish you to know that this built environment in the campus that is deteriorating in quality concerns most of all the Mahalla hostels, which tell us a great deal about the poor conditions of the living and learning environment of our students. That's it. The next main component of the built environment of the university that is also deteriorating in quality is the office rooms of the academics and the classrooms where students and teachers meet regularly, which are a good indicator of their pitiful working conditions and learning environment. Another important component of our built environment is the information and communication technology, ICT infrastructure, especially internet facilities and Wi-Fi access points. We in the IUM, like those in the other public universities, wish to sincerely thank Datuk Seri for a praiseworthy initiative to enhance internet connectivity in higher education institutions. Sad to say, on all three aspects of the built environment that I have highlighted, the present conditions in which IIUM is in are far from satisfactory. On behalf of the campus community, I would like to appeal to Datuk Seri as the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to help us urgently overcome the present unsatisfactory campus conditions while providing us with the necessary funding for the purpose of building, for purpose of restoration and renovation. Although we have been informed that Datuk Seri has approved the funding months ago, the university is yet to receive it. This means that we are compelled to continue to tolerate the poor living conditions in the hostels and the unsatisfactory learning environment. These unsatisfactory conditions notwithstanding, I would like to impress upon Datuk Seri that IIUM is determined to move ahead to chart a new course of history with a new sense of confidence. After all, Islam has taught us that whether in good times or in bad times, whether in material poverty or in material prosperity, knowledge, activities, and intellectual creativity must go on. Guided by Tawhidi epistemology as our vision, and Ummati excellence understood in the inclusive sense as our mission, we will work hard to put IUN at the peak of thought leadership in the world, inshallah. To conclude, let me once again thank Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, our Prime Minister, for being kind and generous enough to be with the students and staff this morning for your homecoming. May Allah bless Datuk Seri Anwar, and may Allah bless IUN. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Honorable Rector, for the inspiring words. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to a meaningful segment, the handover of a generous donation to the Abu Sulaiman International Student Fund. The Abu Sulaiman International Student Fund is a financial aid initiative by IIUM to support deserving international students from conflict zones and minority communities. We invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Rector to the middle of the stage. And we invite on stage Dr. Yaqub Mirza, President of the Center for Islam in the Contemporary World, Shenandoah University, and representative of Sterling Management Group. The President of IIUM, Tan Sri Samsudin Osman. The Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Yang Berhormat Technical Specialist Mustafa Sakmud. The Menteri Besar of Selangor, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari. And our distinguished witnesses, Professor Dr. Tracy Fitzsimmons, President of Shenandoah University, and of course, Madam Mona Abu Sulaiman. The contribution of $300,000 is a testament to the enduring commitment to support our international students and to strengthen the legacy of knowledge, compassion, and leadership at IIUM. Thank you to all parties involved in making this possible. I respectfully ask the Prime Minister and Rector to return to their seats on stage, while the rest may return to their respective seats off stage. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is with great anticipation that we welcome the dialogue session between Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, which promises insights and reflections from a leader whose intellectual and moral convictions have long inspired generations. I ask the Prime Minister to begin with a short speech, followed by a dialogue session.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil karim wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Saudara saya Profesor Osman Bakar, Menteri Besar Amiruddin, Timbalan Menteri, para duta, duta besar, Dr. Tracy dan rakan-rakan dari Shenandoah dan profesor, staff, alumni dan anak-anak dikasih sekalian. Alhamdulillah, setinggi penghargaan, terima kasih atas kesudian Universiti Islam Antarabangsa memberi ruang kepada saya untuk kembali ke satu gedung yang sangat bermakna kepada saya secara pribadi dan kepada negara. So it is a rare privilege to be back here. I really feel at home, although as Osman referred to just now is a bit dilapidated as compared to the past. Normally when they invite me, they always have something to demand. And so it is not nothing. It's not a free lunch or dinner. But I appreciate, because after all, the role of the director is of course to present the demands and requests of the university staff and students. We have actually approved, but there are some bureaucratic procedures that need to be observed. And I think the university itself also have to review some of your requests. I was joking with Osman yesterday. Can you imagine the university? They say they have to repair washrooms and lavatories in a few hostels, and all standard 2 million ringgit. It doesn't sound quite right. So I asked him to tell the officers to make sure that the request is proper and reasonable. You can see this washroom requires 2 million, that 2 million. I mean, there are different stages. Some may be 1 million, some may need 3 million. So that's important of center of excellence to improve. But jokes aside, I think I will make sure by Monday next week, you will get the 5 million to start work immediately. Right. You should ask yourself, why are you here? Whatever the limitations and difficulties you endure, you must also realize that this is comfortable compared to most of the facilities where our families, villagers, the rural heartland. So I think you should always ask yourself, why are you here? You say, okay, to assimilate knowledge. Are you sure you're assimilating knowledge? Because I made reference to T.S. Eliot just now, comparing between information, knowledge, and wisdom. I've, on several occasions, made reference to Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu. Always talks about lazzatul ma'arifah, the level of knowledge which is ma'arifah, which is wisdom, which can decipher between the right and wrong, haq and batil. And we have now information, surplus information. But not all information that we see and learn from the social media, from computers and AI, not all information are knowledge. And not all knowledge constitute wisdom. So the challenge of the education is to make sure that students have the information and the knowledge and be able to decipher what is right and wrong. One of the great inaugural speeches of Kennedy, JFK, not that we agree with many of his foreign policies, but I think what was considered right at the time was that when he said, assimilation of knowledge for the dissemination of truth. There's very strong value prescription there. Assimilation of knowledge. But to do what? Why do we need knowledge? Yes, it's knowledge and wisdom. For what? To disseminate truth, justice, and what is right. And that's a major challenge. Not only in Malaysia, but entire Muslim world and the world at large. I made reference this morning about there's trust deficit We call ourselves democratic. Are we really democratic? We talk about dispensing justice. Is it true? You should question. And combat corruption, which is a major problem. I've always felt that the failure of governments all over the world, various forms. We talk about blatant corruption. In some countries, they disburse funds to build houses or bridges. Funds was disbursed, and finally what appears as probably a small bridge. In the United States, if you read, for example, Fukuyama's latest work on the political system and criticism, not his earlier works, I'm talking about the latest, where he talked about democratic accountability, but he also made reference to institutionalized corruption at K Street, where you have strong number of the very rich and powerful conglomerates amass so much money and wealth and influence policies. There's not blatant corruption, but there is institutionalized corruption. Policies are made to satisfy the dictates, the demands of the elites and the very rich. So you have finally what Stiglitz said, the 1% versus the 99%. Maybe quite an exaggeration, but still, you can see gross disparity. So when I talk about knowledge, whether it's economics or politics, where you have a row of political scientists here in the making, or technology, or science, the fundamental values of freedom, justice, human dignity must be there. And that stems from values. And this is not something new or peculiar to Islam. Of course, it's strong in Islam because Islam stands for peace and justice. And we go for Jumu'ah prayers today, for example. It's always stated, repeated, every week in the khutbah and the sermon. Al-adl wal-ihsan. Inna Allah ya'muru bil-adl wal-ihsan. Justice and virtue. But there's a pronouncements from Al-Quran. But the test is, of course, from the action. This is precisely the reason why I say students must use the opportunity to acquire knowledge. There's no point having a university and you don't make full use of the facilities in the library, internet connectivity. There were some problems in the past. We have tried to resolve that. Have we resolved completely? Internet connectivity as well? Other? Yeah. Because I go to check, you know. Normally when I go to Friday prayers, I meet young boys, you know, 12, 13 years old, ask them about their school. Where are you from? What is school? The level 3 all right? Yes. The teachers attend classes? Yes, but maths teacher was absent. Immediately I text the Minister of Education. So the Minister of Education was shocked. How come I know about these things? Because you ask. This interaction. If you are stuck with all the protocols and formalities, you can never get the right address. So that's why the Menteri Besar are having difficulty, because I get to get the report and I'll text him or WhatsApp him. So what I'm suggesting is that education, where you acquire or assimilate knowledge, but you must remember, the assimilation of knowledge is for you, first to really assimilate, must use the facilities. Mind you, you will never get this chance, not necessarily your lifetime. Morning to evening to night, where you can really all the time in the world to acquire knowledge, to assimilate knowledge. You won't. My personal experience, I don't have the time. as I had when I was in university, but I had a special privilege, which many of you will not have. Oh, that is, I was in prison for 10 years. And that privilege was fully utilized to read and read and read. I've mentioned to many of my friends that I've read, of course, the Quran, I tried to memorize, not most of it, part of it, the Hadith, 4.5 times, the entire works of Shakespeare with copious notes. I reread, for example, Dr. Zhivago, or War and Peace, or the great poems of Anna Akhmatova. Of course, the great classics of the West and the East. I reread even Bhagavad Gita, and the Chinese epics, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. You wouldn't have a chance to do that. But you think here you want to do it, you can always do something nasty, we'll put you in prison. And you can read. Now, of course, that's not an option. So please take this seriously. Yes, you need the facilities. We will provide you. Yes, the university, unfortunately, I remember coming here in 2018 after a hiatus of more than 2 decades. As you know, I was not able to enter, speak to you the last 2 decades. As you may not know that I was able to teach at Georgetown, give a lecture to Harvard, or lecture at St. Anthony's, Oxford University. I cannot enter any of the local universities. It's okay. There's the past. But now that after it's true, Osman lamented what he believed, what needs to be done immediately, and I agree. So I think we have approved actually it's about 30 over million ringgit just for this sort of a facility for the university. I think. Yeah? You never clap until the money comes. Okay. Now, so back to the fundamental issue about assimilation knowledge. That's why when we talk about an intellectual, many claim to be elitist intellectuals. No? But sometimes we have a problem. Why this university in the first place? Osman made reference to my first letter to the then Prime Minister, I think about, Deputy Prime Minister or the Director of those days, there was a period of emergency, I think. National Emergency Council, Tun Razak, I think probably in 1971. I wrote a letter as president of the Islamic students body to say we should set up an Islamic university. Of course, I was not able to articulate the vision as well as I can do now. But I thought Islam is not a belief, and the concept of education is not really confined to some rituals, some very traditional conservative views. I thought Islam must be also, other than the ritual, the salah and the zakah, is also to promote peace and justice and understanding in humanity. Not to sow the seed of discord and differences. You see in the Muslim world, we talk about here, Malaysia is 60%. It's a majority Muslim country. Islam is the religion of the federation. But we have more than 40% non-Muslims. We have to deal with them. You want me to be a hero by just abusing the non-Muslims? Yes, I'll be a hero among the Muslims. As many of my friends in the opposition does. But is that the right thing to do? First, is it an Islamic thing to do? Why do you have rahmatan lil alameen? When you propagate hatred, racism, fascism, and discord. So you must remember, you may be an Islamic university, but here the Islamic university is to promote the true understanding of Islam. Not so hatred for the others. It's understanding. It's lita'arafu. Appreciation after knowing one another. And that is what we mean assimilation of knowledge. Don't just assume. And I must remind you, some of the lecturers, of course, you come from a different society. So much the civil war and hatred and discord. But you are dealing with a different environment. We don't want that discord. So I must remind, whilst we welcome all, you are here to present to me an opportunity to promote the right understanding of the religion. Because otherwise, you have the ISIS and the Al-Qaeda, which is, of course, not a service to Islam. They're doing this service because the West understand Islam from the axis of evil. Remember the famous President Bush view after 9/11. First, Reagan, about axis of evil of the communism, the Soviet Union. Then you have an axis of evil of the so-called extremist Islam, which forms a small minority. Now, I want to stress this point because we also have the problem, internal dynamics within the Muslim community. Mona is here, the daughter of our great friend, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, whom I persuaded here to come here as the rector of the university and had immense contribution to the setting up of the university. After bitter quarrels with me, I was Minister of Finance, and he just said, you want an international Islamic university or you want a village university? I said, yes, Ya Akhi, but we need the funds. But I said, why are you finance minister for? This Saudi is a tough guy. I said, I have been the Minister of Finance for the whole country, not for the Islamic University alone. But I must really thank him. May Allah bless his soul. Because for his continued harassment, because he believed in the cause. And you want to have a university, then better be a center of excellence. You want to have a university, an Islamic university, according to Abdul Hamid, it is not just any university. The curriculum, the message, the graduates you produce must be different. More knowledgeable, more articulate, more tolerant, more wise, and not having this problem, hangover of the extreme views, intolerant, and preaching hatred every day. I have this problem too. Of course, not too many, fortunately, alhamdulillah, but we have the time. You have the freedom to use the social media. What do? Abuse, full of deceit, full of hatred, in the name of Islam or the Malays. I'm a Malay, I'm a proud Malay. I value the cultural heritage of the Malays and the Malacca Sultanate. But I thought the Malays have this beautiful cultural views in terms of tolerance, the accommodation, accommodating other views, and respecting differences. Not racism was not one of them. Even in the height of the Malacca Sultanate, you have great brotherly engagement with the Chinese. That we can have a Bukit China in the Malay world. Can you imagine? During the Malacca Sultanate, you have a Chinese hill that you name. No resentment. Can you imagine? Prime Minister Anwar now announced that part of Gobak can be called Bukit China. Mampus aku. You see? There's a difference. So you must realize that when I talk about assimilation of knowledge, you must be able to understand the comprehensiveness of the knowledge. All right? Now I will end shortly, so allow you for time for questions. No, we still have a lot of time. But I would end with this. Assimilate, remember, all forms of knowledge, and this university is unique, is international. You have all colors and all cultural backgrounds, but remember, you want to present the unity of this knowledge. This is the most tolerant university, respectful of the others. We will not tolerate this, any attempt to sow discord and hatred. We will not survive as a nation. Malaysia will only survive if we promote peace. And justice for all. If I talk, for example, my first year in office as Prime Minister, I said, first deal with the schools. Look at the lavatories. Atrocious conditions. That's not what education is. But to me, it's all schools. Malay schools, Chinese schools, Tamil schools, rural heartland, the urban poor, all are being handled. Then I said, we can't deal with the issue of poverty in totality, but we can deal with hardcore poor, those who don't have enough money to buy school uniforms or milk for the children. I said, I don't want anyone to suffer that fate. That we use every resource at our disposal to deal with this. Using government funds, zakat, whatever, no exception. It can be the vast majority of the Malays and the indigenous people, and the Indians or the ethnic Indians in the estates, or some of the Chinese in the squatter area who are poor. They are all our citizens, and that is to me the strength of Islam, that we preach peace and justice for all.
Datuk Seri.
I'm finished. And then finally, I must say this, that when you graduate, go back, but remember, you have to excel, of course, in AI, in digital, in science, in arts, in liberal arts, in Islam, in the Sharia, whatever. But you must continue this mission of peace and justice, human dignity for all. So thank you very much again. You are invited to ask questions. No need formality. You can call me Uncle Anwar, Pachi Anwar, it doesn't matter. But just ask questions. No restrictions. Those days, if you ask questions, there's people from the intelligence or the special branch who take down notes and you get into trouble. I can guarantee you, this is a free country. You are free to express yourself, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Datuk Seri. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know how hard it is for me to interrupt the Prime Minister of Malaysia while he is speaking? Okay, that was a very nerve-wracking moment. Datuk Seri, would you like to please continue with the dialogue session? Yes. The floor is yours again. Thank you.
I prefer to stand up for the demonstration. Please raise your hands and shout. Yes. Yes, please. To the point. Yeah.
Check. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to our dearest Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Datuk Seri, first of all, on behalf of IIUM community, I would like to express our utmost gratitude to Honorable Datuk Seri for the generous funding from the government that you mentioned earlier. Indeed, considering how old our university are, we need such funding to refurbish our facilities.
I've answered the question. Just the next question.
However, considering the increasing number of students in the upcoming semester, as well as the policy of IIUM at offering 100% residential college, it has been our concern that we may face issues related with the insufficiency of room for the students. Not included the rooms.
Right. Let me end at that, because what we will do is within our means, and I've given the Ministry of Higher Education to look at it in detail. We are not able to give places, hostels for every single student. No country, no university in the world does that, and IIU is not an exception. We do our best, and we'll do the rest.
Okay, thank you so much for your consideration. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Can we take the question from the brother on the left?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri. I will call you maybe Abang, because I'm from PKPM too, and I'm proud to say that I'm from PKPM IIUM. So my question is about Gaza. As a student of IIUM, what's happening in Gaza really deeply breaks all of our hearts. The ongoing mass killings seem endless, as mentioned by Noam Chomsky, as quiet for quiet,
the effort to put Palestinians under violence treatment. Here at IUM, the reality hits very close to us, especially since we have close friends and lecturers who are from Palestine. Let us have a big round of applause for our Palestinian lecturers and friends. In the middle of that, we are relieved by your vocality in Palestine at the world stage, especially in front of Anthony Blinken, ex-Secretary General of US and the German Chancellor. But my question is, has Malaysia's vocal stance on the Palestinian issue affected our relation with the West? If so, how do we balance our role between the Islamic and Western bloc? That is the first question. The second question, Datuk Seri, will be, for us as Muslims, what's after Gaza? Because we know, logically, the Gaza will fall. That is the sad and hard truth we need to swallow. But what after Gaza? Does we as Muslims just need to do our thing, only kunut nazilah, only demonstrations, and after that what? Because does we really trust that Israel will not go to other countries as well? Thank you, Datuk Seri.
Thank you. Well, this great human tragedy, and we as an emerging country have done our maximum best. As you know, you're familiar with my dialogue with Chancellor Olaf Scholz and in Germany, and the fact that I mentioned this directly in front of President Joe Biden in San Francisco, and with many other leaders. So I think for a country, we have done our level best. Has it resolved the issue? No, not yet. Where do we go from here? We'll continue. But we know our limitations. Recently, the youth from the Islamic Party have asked us to send troops to Gaza. But it sounds nice. But it's just a ridiculous proposition. Where do you land? Who's going to fight? Where are the weapons? So when it comes to this sort of a proposition, you must remember, okay? We have to read together with the Muslim countries, Arab neighbors, and many Western countries who are now with us. I mean, at least understand, stop these atrocities. As I said in front of all our shouts, why this hypocrisy? Well, you talk about human rights and freedom and dignity. The most we ask is just ceasefire. Stop the killings. I mean, I'm not saying killing of Muslim is not okay, killing of Jews is okay. No, just stop the killings. So, your next question is, has it impacted our relationship with the West? No, because we make it clear. We are a trading nation. Number one investor is still in the United States. Our major export is still the United States, then China and Germany, the three countries, major countries. We express our displeasure and differences in some of the views. I mean, it's not new. During the Vietnam War, we disagreed. I was a student leader then. We demonstrated against the atrocities inflicted by the Vietnamese. Have they learned? They have not learned. What was that? That's new imperialism. There's colonialism. There's dispossessing people's rights and dignity. So it's not just Gaza. We are against any form of colonization of, as we know, the atrocities inflicted so much harm on women and children and the rest. So we will continue to engage. Just like the latest pronouncement on tariff by President Donald Trump, we disagree. It runs contrary to international trading practices, including WTO. You, the United States, were pushing us to work fast to accept these terms. Now we have accepted, you say no, we discard these terms. When it seemingly doesn't benefit you. So we say, but then, do we engage? Yes. Do we wage war? No. Do we protect our interests? Yes. I want to protect this country. I want to protect the workers. I want to protect the families. So whatever is being said must be to protect the national interest and to protect our workers and our industries. Semiconductor. 65% of our products are exported to the United States, which means it is an important partner. Yesterday, Oracle was here, met me, and discussed about their potential investments. They will continue, and that's in a US company. Last week, Microsoft was here, had difficulties closing some facilities, some neighboring countries, but they will proceed in Malaysia. So it is important, therefore, to focus on political stability, clarity of policies. They should know exactly what's our policy on semiconductor, what's our policy on AI. What does it take to ensure that Malaysia becomes attractive as a destination for investments? And do we then be selective? No. In the next few days, President Xi Jinping is coming. And of course, United States and China is virtually a trade war now. But I happen to be chairman of ASEAN too now, this year. And our policy is of course centrality, which means we will engage the United States as the traditional ally, friend, investments and trade, but nobody should stop us from befriending China, who's an important country, economically vibrant, and they have not caused us problems. They have taken a position to recognize and respect our freedom and our right. We will continue. But what is my answer, therefore, is make sure that we can shout as much as we can, but we must put our house in order. Stop the corruption. Stop the abuse of power. Yeah. Make sure we govern well. Make sure you protect the interests of our people. That is the answer. Not short term, but in the long term. We are weak. People squander your wealth when you're being abused. And there's nothing you can do. For what? So, yes, we will continue to raise the issue of Gaza. But yes, we will protect our national interests. Because without the economic interests and the wealth, we cannot help them. Yeah. We can, of course, express very strongly. Yes, sister.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Datuk Seri. My name is Nura Fatini. I'm current president from Kuliah of Education, representing Kuliah-based student committee that involve 14 presidents of 14 Kuliah, inshallah, as a whole of IUM. Thank you for your time for the visit today. Datuk Seri, IUM campus was envisioned as a world-class Islamic university with cutting-edge facilities. However, the reality might speak differently, where most of our learning spaces struggle with three main problems, which is the first one is outdated infrastructure, and the second one is missing modern tools, and last but not least is safety concern due to delayed maintenance. So, given IUM's role as a national leader in education, I would like to ask what a specific support that the government can provide. Maybe whether funding, partnerships or policy initiatives that can urgently upgrade our facilities to ensure a better and convenient learning spaces. Thank you, Datuk Seri.
This has been taken up. This country, universities, depend and almost entirely on the government. The government means taxpayers. The government means your parents and your family have to pay more. And I'm not prepared to increase taxes for them, because I think they are also in difficulty. This year, we have increased the special funding direct to people, because I don't want them to be in difficulty. From to 9 million people are getting direct grants, costing us 10 billion ringgit. You see? I can reduce that and give it to you in the university, which is also important. But if I reduce that, the families suffer. This year, we started giving increased salary. We increased the salary of our public civil servants, where I was criticized. But I say for the last 12 years, government after government, prime minister after prime minister, They take care of their salaries, which is very high. And they say, I don't take salary, right? To prove a point. I'm not sure that I'm regretting it. But 12 years, no increase. Your parents are civil servants, you know that. 12 years. And it's not fair. They're burdened with more responsibility. And I did that. And even then, the scheme is different. The lower ranks get higher raise than the upper ranks. It's the first time we're doing that in a very progressive manner. How much does it cost? 10 billion ringgit this year and 18 billion ringgit next year. So students, when you ask for additional assistance, where it's absolutely necessary, we will have to do it. But universities have also to be more creative to see how you can join in with some of the factors, where the rich must pay. Now we see students, be it locals or foreigners, you come from a rich family, you pay more. And that seems to be going to be extremely unpopular, but we have to do it. I mean, your salary, your parents' salary here is 50,000 ringgit, and you pay pittance at the university. You go to the hospital, you pay 1 ringgit. How do we manage? You know what is the allocation for education in this country? It's 26 billion ringgit, the highest ever, and the highest allocation under my budget. Number 1 is education. Yeah. And number 2 is public health. You find countries doing that? You can count 2 or 3 only. No country does that. I have decided, yes, if you ask about the defense ministry, it's important. It's our defense. Ours is a maritime nation. We need submarines. But we need schools. We need good universities. So I'm just expressing to you, who is the Dean of Economics here? Kuliah of Economics? Yeah. You better get this macroeconomic understanding to your students. Because I can say, yes, we'll approve another few 100 million, but where do I get the money? I must cut from the others. Because, you know, when I became Prime Minister, Yaakob, I had to deal with 1.5 trillion ringgit of debt. You see? You know the scandal after scandal, money being squandered. Every tender, you use it, negotiated tender. It doesn't matter. You call yourself Nationalist Party, Islamic Party, that did not change. Now we come to us, we change that. You want to have a procurement policy, proper tender process. Now, I want you, my children, to understand that we will do our best. I'm not giving excuses. We have to stop this waste. We have to stop this corruption. But we are only able, if you have younger sister and brother in a school, you see, and the lavatory in that condition, how many schools are they need repair, the lavatory? 856 schools. How much did it cost? Almost 1 billion ringgit. Now, these jokers in the opposition says, well, 1 billion means you have a gold toilet. I mean, it's just damn stupid statement to make. It's 856 school toilets, which we need to improve. I start with that. Then connectivity. Few 100 million for connectivity, all universities in this country. So we have our priority, right? But I think the Dean of Kuliah of Economics must give a public lecture on the macroeconomic situation. This is the 26 billion you give to schools, you divide, etc., etc. If you increase this, you have to cut for housing, or you have to cut for health, or you cut for hospitals, you have to deal with it. If you have a better advice, I stand guided. I don't think I have all the answers, but in uridu illa al-islah mastata'tu. I'm trying my best to affect reform in this country and do what's best for the people.
Assalamualaikum.
No, thanks.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri. I'm Akif Naim, representative from IAM Student Union. I have two concerns actually. The first one, the river that cross in IAM, which is Sungai Pusu. As we can see now, the river is now buried and polluted because of the nearby quarry activities. I hope your action to take to refurbish our river. The second concern is about
To do what with the river?
Sungai Pusu river.
The Sungai Pusu River.
It's polluted and buried because of the
Is
quarry
it
activities.
pollution not because of the students?
No. I'm pretty sure that it's because of the quarry.
Okay.
Okay. My second concern is about PTPTN rate because I need Datuk Seri advice on revising the PTPTN rate because we can see our students now barely survive after paying the fees to survive for the many upcoming SEMs. Thank you, Datuk Seri.
The Minister of Higher Education have taken this up. You see, you have a PTPTN outstanding debt now, if I'm not mistaken, close to 40 billion ringgit. And if we increase, it's going to be 50. For now, I see we just have to hold on. We'll help probably students in terms of their needs, but I think we have to have this courage to revise. I reiterate my earlier point that we can resolve this if we do, for example, tax the very rich. I mean, those parents who are very rich should pay. Then at least we can transfer that to the poorer students. But it's a democratic world. When I increased the tariff for electricity, the opposition attacked me ferociously. But I said, 85% are not affected. We only tax the top 15%. I mean, you have 6 air conditioning and 5 fans in your house. You have a 10-room mansion, then you pay electricity a normal rate, not a subsidized rate. But the 85% are not affected. But even then, it became a big issue. Now there's a campaign, Ayah Kuning. The Prime Minister is son, he texts people daily, he lies to people. I don't. We increase. Which country, from what I know, at least in ASEAN, no country gives that sort of subsidy like we do. The subsidy for the people here is the highest in the region. But I don't want to subsidize the rich. For example, I say electricity. What do you subsidize the rate for ambassadors, high commissioners? Yeah. Now no longer from last year. But before that, we subsidize the electricity bills. So what we want is for them to pay the normal rate. Then, inshallah, we will try and review the PTPTN. Right? Yes.
Datuk Seri, we have one question from our Kuantan campus. Can we?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, Tan Sri. Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri.
Yeah.
Question again. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Kuantan campus.
Yes.
Apart from all these financial challenges, I have another question that I give a lecture on economics. We have problems with manpower, whereby we don't have enough staff which are trained appropriately.
Excuse me, sister.
Whatever it is. Yes.
Just now your mic was on mute. Can you repeat the beginning of your question, please?
Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you, yes. Just now we can hear you.
So apart from financial challenges, we have a problem of staff, manpower. We have staff who are doing multiple jobs or have multiple job description. Now, it's good because we think that they are trained holistically, but the thing is, when they go for interviews for job, or kenaikan pangkat semua tu, the interviewers will say, why are you doing other people's jobs? And this is mainly because there's not enough staff. go around. We are trying to extend our kuliah services, but we don't have staff. Could you assist us with this?
Yeah, why did you take it up with the rector first and then you don't take up the shortage of staff in department to the Prime Minister? Go through the
Well, because you're
the
here
dean
now.
and the rector, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kuantan. There's also a question from our student upstairs on the first
Hello.
floor up there.
Yeah. Yes.
Assalamualaikum Datuk Seri.
Salam.
I'm Muhammad Nur Huzaimi from Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Laws. My question is, as we know you from the first day as Prime Minister, you shouting about the institutional reforms. But public higher education in Malaysia faces two challenges: to adapt with the global disruptions like AI or climate crisis, but while we try to preserve our values, such as in IIUM, we have the Islamic values together with Malaysian values. So my question is, can you share what the outline of this Madani government's policy or agenda of reform in public higher education system that first modernizes public universities to accelerate research and development activities and digital infrastructure, and second, to anchors progress in Malaysian values, specifically in IIUM that we have the Tauhidi epistemology and Ummatic excellence. Thank you, Datuk Seri.
Thank you. Now, the first question is on institutional reform. The reform, of course, is not confined to only higher education. In the Madani philosophy of the government, which means we inculcate the new disciplines as relevant, including energy transition, digitalization, AI, and at the same time to ensure that there is intrinsic values on justice, on humanity, ihsan, rahmah. Then Parliament, for example, we have Fiscal Responsibility Act, which means the Finance Minister surrendering his power to the Parliament to review if he is not able to fulfill the target and to explain. This is not done. I mean, you are transferring that. And then we have this decision that all procurement must be proper, transparent tender process, because this was the major cause of the leakages. Then the institutional reform covers the civil service. The civil service must be answerable. We have this civil service commitment on the standard reform that they have to undertake. On the university, I think next month or so, there is this new blueprint for higher education, which I asked the Minister of Education to share and discuss a bit more before they present it as a national policy. I think they should present it also to universities to ensure that the reform meets this aim of a comprehensive, value-based education, but with that sort of expertise, talent which is required. AI, as you know, has been promoted aggressively, and as Oracle has said, I think in the region, we have been most aggressive in terms of introducing AI in schools and in universities. Not only faculties and department, we are now getting the general student body to be exposed to this. We will take time because also some resources need to be disbursed for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now that will be the end of our question and answer session. I'm so sorry for those who are still standing.
Never mind, you give your last question.
One more, okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Ali A. Karim from Department of Political Science and Madani Studies. So when you mention about education, I think this
Political science?
Yes.
What semester?
I mean, my 5th semester.
Okay, you tell me what I should do.
Look, the thing is that when we learn in universities, I think...
No, you tell me, as Prime Minister, what else should I do?
We need a good reform in higher education, because this is what's going to build...
You mean Prime Minister, good reform, that's Minister of Higher Education. What Prime Minister, what should I do?
Okay, so from my opinion, I think what you're doing right now with bringing up the values, such as the Madani values or script, is very important. But what we need to do more is to make people understand that these kind of values are not political values. Because I think right now people see Madani as a political narrative, But for me, I see it as some form of values that we as everyone, every member of society should adopt. But this is something that I think, I know you're trying to do it to your best, but at the same time, it really looks like a political narrative from the public's point of view. And this is something that I really hope could change.
Give your name and phone number, I'll ask you to help a bit. Huh? You agree, right? I'll now appoint you as one of my advisors representing the students. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That is the end of our Q&A session, unfortunately. I know that...
Before that, just let me express again my appreciation, my friend Professor Osman, for giving me the opportunity for you to take it. You know, as you know, this session is not too formal, too rigid, too protocol-like, and I do this in most universities that I have an opportunity in the States, and I thank you for your patience, but appeal to you, finally, appeal to you, please, as a father, I'm telling you, please, make sure, with all the limitations, do your best, get the best out of this university, and serve the community. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, before we depart, I would like to request for Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Datuk Rector to go off stage, take a group picture together. So the audience, can every one of you gather in the middle of the hall so we can take a group picture with the Prime Minister and the Rector of IIUM?